Good Monday evening, everybody. Chris and Mike O'Donnell with you on this first day of April 2024. And due to budget cuts in the network, I've dressed up tonight for James R. I put a tie on. I didn't tie it right, but I had to dress up. I couldn't let him overdress me, even though you can't see him. So I just wanted to make it clear tonight on this April Fool's night that I'm dressed better than James R., who's got a face for radio or a face for television. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Hey, Chris. Thanks. Good to be with you. Did you just make yourself Irish, more Irish, like O McDonald now? You added an O to the front of your name? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, O McDonald. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've been looking for a theme song, but, you know, there's nothing from the 1920s and 30s that's available. And Abraham Lincoln told me that, you know, his is copyrighted. So, you know, no, you know, but yeah, I probably should. Is there any rumor? Is this just April Fool's joke that you're running for governor of Utah? I just want to make sure that we clear that up before we get going tonight.
Yeah, that's definitely an April Fool's joke because I would never be a member of a club that would have me as a member. Like, you know that. So No way.
I got you, brother. Hey, man, it's always good to see you. We hated you didn't have as much time last week night. We won't be as in much of a hurry tonight, but I'm always grateful for you. I am so excited that y'all are headed to the mainland sometime this year, and I know we're going to have a lot more fellowship. It was such a pleasure to meet you last November. I was actually looking at the pictures this afternoon, back on November the 12th, when you and the family and us met up in Florida, and we've known each other a long time, buddy, and we're in this fight together for this country, and I wouldn't think of anybody better to be in the trench with than you, and I appreciate what you do. I've always appreciated that. Listen, I want to get off the schneid tonight a little bit. I want to ask you a question. This has been one of the questions I want to ask you all day long. Where do you see the state of affairs with our elections right now? Are you pretty confident that Trump's going to get a fair shake in November? I know that that's the biggest question I'm getting asked is, are we at a point that we can take a deep breath and say there's absolutely no way? And I know the answer to this already, but I do want to get your take on it. I know we can't be 100% sure that elections are going to have the integrity we want, but I do want to ask you: do you think that there's going to be any kind of hope that we've got a fair election coming up in November?
Yeah, it's a great question because the answer is actually both sides of this answer in large respects. Not trying to be, slimy about it or swarmy and slide away from the question, but the answer is really complicated. Like, there is a lot of reason to have hope that we're going to have a fair election to the larger extent because there's a lot of people working to make that happen. There's a lot more organization of people and education of us, we the audience, to know what to do, how to handle it, and let's face it, in order to cheat, you need a lot of people to cheat in all those different states, and the people of those states are really upset. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's possible even to overstate the fact that Minnesota is in play. And I have this on really solid authority, not just polls. I have a relationship with some Minnesota legislators there. One in particular, Shane Mecklin, he has a sister, and this sister is dyed-in-the-wool blue. Okay, dyed-in-the-wool. So much so that they only talk to each other twice a year, and at the holidays, and they never talk politics because they just can't. She called him recently, within the last 3-4 months, and said, I can't believe it. I'm voting Trump. These people are insane. I don't understand this. And so those signs, those things that are happening on the ground are the very people that they need in order to sell any kind of cheat and in order to actually do the cheating. So there's a lot of reasons to have hope, but it relies on us turning out like never before. We got to defeat this government, this voter apathy that happens in this country, and you can tell it by all the numbers that even the registered voters aren't showing up. When you only got 70% voter turnout, you got some serious issues, man. So you've got to work at the local level. But yeah, there's reason to be hopeful.
I'm with you there, buddy. And do you think that RFK is going to have a bigger impact for against Biden or against Trump? I tend to believe that Biden would be more concerned about him. And look, this fairyland talk on the right that RFK was a closet conservative and Trump would pick him as a running mate was shot to hell when he basically picked the most left-wing vice presidential candidate he could have picked in all the country. I mean, this guy's not right. I'm sorry. It's a Kennedy. He's a liberal. He's a liberal firebrand. And I mean, that's what he is. I mean, but do you think that his candidacy scares Trump more? Or does it scare Biden more?
Oh, it absolutely should scare Biden more, but I don't know that he's got enough brain cells left to be scared. Like, he called the Easter Bunny the Oyster Bunnies the other day. I mean, this guy is not there. So, look, I'm going to respect your audience because I do. and I'm not going to go in the places I went on RFK's running mate. But let's just say that they don't make them more expensive than her.
Yes,
okay,
that's very true.
If you look at her history, I mean, $10 billion for marrying a guy.
I know.
That's pretty good. That's Anna Nicole Smith level territory there. I mean,
Let's just say when you get to the States, we'll put this on a recorder and I'll play it and I'll put my name on it. Okay, how about that? I'll replay it on replay one night. I'll do a late, like 2:00 in the morning show, and we'll tell everybody how me and you really feel about it. Because but I'm with you, man. Look, and again, I just and I'm glad you brought up the Easter Bunny thing, because I told the audience over the weekend, the right needs to just, I mean, look, it was a travesty what he did. This insane, person in charge of the, it's like this child that's in charge of the White House right now. And I don't want to get into the, the gender stuff and all that, but I will say this, James, I do believe it was deliberate. It was a deliberate insult to the conservative movement of the country. It was definitely an insult to Christians. And then what makes it even more insulting is what they're doing today is backing up. And he's literally claiming that he didn't do it. I mean, you can't get more stupid. I don't know if these people don't understand their social media and their posts are still out there. Joe, we got cameras now. It's not like it was in the 1930s when there wasn't no internet, there wasn't no cameras, there wasn't no recording devices, Joe, when you were around. But, I mean, these people have got to be the most dumbest rocks leaders we've ever had, because they'll go out there like they did today and say, oh, I didn't declare a transgender day on Easter Day. I don't know what you're talking about. Do you think there are people that actually believe that in this country? That's probably the scarier question. Are there people that actually believe that?
Oh, I can guarantee there are people that believe that. I saw some of these people on the community notes on X.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Are you aware that there is apparently some kind of egg board that literally tells the White House what to do? Like, wait a minute. Who put them in charge? Like, what are we talking about? So, yeah, there are people that believe this nonsense, even though he's got it on his timeline, Joe Biden's proclamation with Joe Biden's signature. Like, it's like bizarre to me that KJP can sit there in front of the mic and just bold-faced lie.
Every day, James. Every day. Every day. Well, and let me just say this. I'm going to just tell the audience, that is not an April Fool's joke, by the way. That's not, that is actually happening. True. An egg board. That's just lovely. Well, what did you think is James R? Just your personal opinion. When you heard him come out this weekend and do that, what was your gut reaction to that? Your first thought and reaction when you heard him do it? I'm just curious.
It's manufacturing outrage from the right. That's all it is. Look at this. So I pointed this out today in a space, is that a lot of people are reacting to the Trans Day of Visibility, but not in the way that most people would have thought that the right would. Everybody is pointing out that it's Joe Biden. So who's the actual story here? The actual story is Joe Biden.
That's right.
That it's an attack from the left on the right. That this has nothing to do with trans issues. So what did he actually do? He actually made trans people less visible. I mean, he's like, really, really think about this, about what happened. Because if they would have just been quiet, just shut up. Like, you might have gotten a few people triggered about the trans people. But this had nothing really to do with them. It just had to do with a leftist attack against religion once again. And it's just, it's gonna piss off people on both sides of the aisle, because there's Democrat Catholics too, people. Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. Do you think that this helps or hurts him in November, or does it do nothing? It's just one of those passing things that we go through every other week with this administration. Because I'm glad you said it's manufactured rage, James. And I think the right don't need to bite into it. Look, it infuriates me. It's insulting. But I think we got bigger fish to fry because, look, let's just be frank. We've got such an, we entitled the program tonight, A Violent and a Woke America. This is part of Woke America 2024. And this transgender push into sports, into the society, into everything that touches America. And again, we're not saying this in any kind of judgment, any kind of self-righteous condemnation to anybody, but the lines have been so blurred in our society. And, you know, I was reading somewhere tonight that, you know, one of the famous track stars in the country, and they're fighting on all levels, James. Every sporting event out there is fighting this right now, that there is no room for a man to be competing as a woman, and it's a woke country that has lost its moral compass, because if anybody cannot see that as being wrong, we got a far greater problem than an Easter egg hunt that's being called Transgender Day at the White House. And by the way, the storm's delayed it, and Don Jr. was having a little bit of a run at Joe Biden, that the heavens were not too happy with his decision. But brother, there's a bigger problem in our nation, buddy. It's woke 2024, and I think it's just going to get worse. And that scares me a hell of a lot more than Joe Biden not remembering whether he declared Transgender Day over the weekend. What's your thought on that?
No, you know, I agree with you. We're on a slide as a country, and the only way to change this is to fight the culture war that needs to be fought. Look, we're going to likely win this election cycle, but this one cycle is not the fix for America. This is no Superman's flying in on a cape and rewinding the planet's time. Okay, like, it's just got to be understood that if you're awake now and you understand the problem, you're going to be fighting this problem the rest of your life, whether that problem is government, whether that problem is our slide into decadence, whether that problem has to do with out-of-control DOJ. I don't care what angle you're coming at this from. You're going to be fighting this fight the rest of your life. It's that phraseology. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? And it's true that you just can't unsee these things. We're culturally sliding into the abyss. And what we need to wake up are the people with money. And I'm not talking about like your well-to-do neighbor. I'm talking about the guys that got billions of dollars, that invest in projects, that invest in movies, that invest in storytelling, because that's what's missing on the right, is that we seeded the storytelling. And some people in your audience may not quite understand what I'm about to say. And it is that Joseph McCarthy was right.
Yes.
And he was absolutely right to go after Hollywood, because he understood the problem decades before everybody else caught up to him. To understand that if we as conservatives are not investing in storytelling, we're losing the culture. Think about how long ago The Passion of the Christ was released. That probably still today is one of the most impactful Christian conservative movies ever, that actually changed people's minds and outlooks on what was Christianity, on what being a believer in Christ actually means. So I just got to say, we've got to wake the money up to understand that. Stop investing in political divide and start investing in winning back our culture from these woke cultists, because the country right now is about to vote against all this woke culture nonsense.
I believe that.
But the seed is still there. The morass is still there. And that is what we have to fight against.
You know, it's so crazy you said what you just said. I had a conversation with my brother last week, and he absolutely quoted that same statement to me about Joe McCartney, that he got it right. And my brother's a ex-lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and we were talking about this communist influence in our nation, James, and it goes beyond culture. It goes into the regions of government. And if you look at how we have embraced such a dynamic in our thinking, and I guess what's so frustrating, and I'll just share it like this: we've known each other 5 going on 6 years now, almost 7. And, you've always stated, we know what the Dems stand for. That should not shock us. That should not shock us. They are a leftist, communist, Marxist party. They are terrorists in many ways. There is no tolerance. They claim they want tolerance, but they want absolutely nothing of that. I think what frustrates us is that the party that is less insane is the Republicans, but the Republicans have the right message sometimes, but they don't have the balls to stand up for what they believe. And if they don't start standing up against this communist push, James, we will be. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with it tonight. I think there's some things in this country that's already gone socialist, but we're teetering on a complete communist takeover. And Khrushchev, he basically said it. He said, we ain't got to fire a shot against you people. He said, y'all going to destroy yourself. He said, we're going to infiltrate y'all from within. He said, we'll never have to even fire a shot. And buddy, in 2024, which is 60 years from about the time he said that, Mr. Khrushchev was correct. Joe McCartney saw this danger, James, and he was crucified for it. And I know he had some ruthless, he was a senator, and he had a lot of weird, quirks about him, and he was a little brutal sometimes. But brother, at the end of the day, Joe McCartney saw the danger, and people did not respect that danger. And now look where we're at 60 years later. We're facing that danger from within this nation. It ain't coming from without anymore, buddy. It's coming right from within.
You know what the ironic thing is that Russia is now terrified America will import socialism back to them.
I know. Thank you. Come on. Is that irony or what? And that's not an April Fool's joke either. They're scared of us importing socialism to them. Exactly.
It's terrifying to think about that. Like there's more freedom and conservatism in Russia right now than there is in America.
That's right.
I mean, I'm laughing because I wasn't laughing, I'd cry. I mean, it's just unbelievable that these people cannot learn the lessons of history because the left was very, very smart and the right was very, very stupid. We gave away education to the left. We gave away our ability to tell stories to the left. We allowed them to indoctrinate our children through music. We gave them that power because we were too busy not paying attention, right? We just threw our hands up and said, I don't have time for this shit. I'm going to do what I do. Right? I'm not in Hollywood, so I don't care what they do in Hollywood. I'm going to go, make some toasters over here. We gave them all the tools that they needed to indoctrinate our youth into these whack ideas that somehow universal basic income fixes all the problems, when all it does is bake in all the problems. It is horrific what we have allowed to happen in this country. A lot of people want to point fingers right now, but we got to go back decades and see where this happened. Why did we stop doing these things? Why did we let them? We've got rich people on our side. We've got just as many billionaires on our side of the aisle as they do. So why did we let them have this territory? Why did we give them that power and control when we could have stood up and said no? And we could have stood up and spent our money on it. That's another thing people forget. They got to vote with their wallet every single day. Learn the lesson of Bud Light. We have the power to change things if we just stop spending money on companies and people that want to produce woke crap. And that includes our eyeballs.
But I couldn't have said it better. I amen you wholeheartedly. Listen, I know you got a lot of great people that come on your space, and a lot of these senators and within. What has been your temperature and thermometer on the budget situation that led Marjorie Taylor Greene to call for Mike Johnson's removal last week, and it looks like his honeymoon is over. Are you hearing anything, and what's James R's take on that? Because, I had hope. When he took over, I said to myself, he can't be no worse than Kevin McCartney, but James, he's caved like a thing of cards to these Dems. He gave them every freaking thing they wanted in that budget. And, he claims that, that she's just a distraction, moving forward in progress. Well, if this is what progress looks like, I sure as hell don't want progress coming from Mike Johnson. And, I can't say that I disagree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I may not like her in some other areas, but I can't say that I understand her angst about it. And I think we out here in the public should have a little angst about this crap that he just pulled, because, again, is this a sign of things to come? It goes back to the Republicans. We can't trust either party right now.
Yeah, so I gotta try to do better job at educating people on how politics works, because I gotta be honest with you, the failures that are being pointed to Mike Johnson are really our failures. They are really failures of people that have large influence, and I'll name somebody that is probably everybody in this audience is a fan of, okay? And I don't mean this to be critical of them. I mean it to be critical of all of us not exercising political power correctly. Let's analyze the situation to start with. Okay, I had a space with 6 sitting members of Congress that introduced to us the Mike Johnson play.
Yeah.
So we got to go back in time. I was, in other words, I was right at the crux of these things happening.
I remember.
Okay, so what was going on was people were trying to get Jim Jordan in there. There was no way Jim Jordan was going to be the next speaker. Why? Because he doesn't have the power base to go against the cardinals of appropriation. Okay? Keep that phrase in mind. This comes directly from people in Congress like Matt Gaetz and George Santos. So this is firsthand delivery of information. The cardinals of appropriation. Okay? So what happened is Mike Johnson was basically the guy that was slid in as the compromise candidate that everybody was going to overlook, because they were going to think, okay, we can work with this guy because he's nobody, right? So the appropriators like, all right, we can influence all this shit. This is good, dude. And then the other side was like, well, look, dude, we ain't ever getting Jim Jordan. We got to get somebody that we at least know is on our side of thought process here, okay? So he was always the compromise candidate. But here's the problem. He had no power base. And nobody out here in real land recognized that he had no power base. He's only got 20 people basically around him, and that's nothing when you consider there's 435 seats in Congress, okay? He does not have a power base. Then what happened? All the influencers and all the reporters and all the media started buying all this Kevin McCarthy leaked crap stories. And who did they blame for everything? Mike Johnson.
Great point.
What we need to learn from the power of politics is that the person you scream at is the one that's going to get the pressure. Everybody's screaming at Mike Johnson. Nobody's screaming at Kay Granger. And I bet you half the audience don't even know who that is. Kay Granger is one of the people in Congress that is the cardinals of appropriations. These are the ones that are really wielding the power, because those people could remove Speaker Mike Johnson if he ever stood in their way. But they're also the people that went there to spend money as Republicans. By the way, Dan Crenshaw is on that list. And again, this is firsthand information from sitting members of Congress, Matt Gaetz, George Santos, and backed up by a few others. But they're the names that'll push it, and they'll tell you what's going on. You ask them, if you get the chance, about who are these cardinals of appropriations and what exactly do they do. Here's another thing that people don't understand. The Speaker of the House is the speaker for his party. He's the guy out front. He's the mouthpiece. You know who runs the votes? Oh, that would be the Senate majority or the House majority leader. Who's that? Oh, yeah, the guy that got shot, that's Steve Scalise. Who's the whip that whips the votes? Oh, is that still Tom Emmer? Both of those guys are the guys that are the ones that can control whether or not a bill sits on the floor or gets on the floor. In fact, Steve Scalise famously pulled legislation and shut it down when it's not privileged motions. Okay? Privileged motions mean it has to go to the floor. Everything else, Steve Scalise can pull. How come nobody was out there screaming at the other people to give Johnson backup? And that's the exercise in political power of the public. That's why they control the media. That's why they control the narratives, so they can misdirect you. Again, keep this in mind. They don't care if you're angry. They don't care if you hate what they're doing. They care if you blame somebody else. That's why they redirect your anger all the time and keep you guessing. Another reason that they do these things is that they try to make sure that the people running for election, especially the ones vulnerable, are never vulnerable during the election cycle. But notice in that bill, half those people that voted, quote, against it, all got millions of sweetheart money to their districts because it's all a show, people.
Absolutely.
We got to understand how to exercise our political will better in the future. Stop pointing the fingers at the wrong target and pressurize the people that need to be pressured in order to send Mike Johnson back up. I hope that is, it's long-winded, I get it, but I'm trying to explain it.
Makes total sense. Do you think Margie Taylor agreeing then what you're saying is she blamed the wrong guy? Is what you're saying?
No, she does this all the time. She has a history of this. Look, I don't want to step on people who love Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she does this all the time.
She does.
Notice, right after she announced this, Speaker Mike Johnson made her one of the impeachment managers for Mayorkas when it goes to the Senate.
Yeah.
You think that was an accident?
No.
You think those two things aren't connected? Of course they're connected. This is politics. It's grown-up sports. You know what I'm saying? Like, she used this to her advantage, period. She did the same thing with McCarthy, okay? She was on the wrong side of that issue. Twice she was on the wrong side of that issue. So she does it because she's playing politics, because she's low-hanging fruit, right? She knows what she's got to do to get ahead, and she's more than capable of doing it.
Well, I hate to use a tough word on an April Fool's McFile Monday night, James, but ain't they all just a bunch of political whores, all of them, both the Dems and the Republicans? I swear. And again, I think this is why, and we're going to move on to some international policy here after this, but I do believe this is one reason why people out here in the John Q. public, look, your explanation is square on, and I'm with you 1,000,000%. Politics is a nasty, it is a backstabbing, backroom, screw America industry. It's an industry. It's almost like a business, like a corporation. And there's a few out there that control the cards, and the rest of them just go on with the plan, or they get run over. But I think this is what has got the American public disenfranchised with the system, with the policy, with the politics, whatever you want to call it, this machine that's up there in D.C., and people lose hope. And then what happens, the vicious cycle is people don't vote, and we can't be that way. We've got to shake free of that, because you said it a while ago, buddy, if we don't get out and vote, we got to vote in record numbers. We cannot allow what happened in 2020 to happen again in 24. And whether people want to admit it or not, a lot of the issue, James, is we don't get out and vote. There's people that still don't get out and vote. And they've got to vote. They say that we're going to go vote. We're going to do that. No, that's not the reason. Yes, it is the reason. A lot of it is the apathy of the American voter and not getting involved in their political processes. And if we don't, brother, this machine that you just described, we're screwed. I mean, and that's no April Fool's joke, buddy. That's no April Fool's joke. I mean, this is what's running the country into the ground tonight, is it not?
100%. It's why I fight against pessimism every single day I'm on. Yeah, I never give people a pessimistic outlook, because pessimism will kill you. All right? Like, people don't even realize how pessimistic they are. If all you're doing is complaining about this and complaining about that, you're going to sit on the couch and do nothing.
Come on, buddy.
What is voter apathy? It is pessimistic people who constantly have an excuse for why they're not part of the solution, right? Oh, they're going to steal it. Oh, someone else is going to control me. Oh, my vote doesn't matter. Oh, there's too many people showing up. Oh, I don't want to stand in line for 4 hours. Oh, I'd rather have a dental appointment. Like, people all have excuses, okay? That's all it is. It is pessimistic people that sit on the fucking couch. Sorry, I dropped an F-bomb on your show.
All right.
And literally just do nothing to improve their lives. If you look at everything that everybody has been saying and doing, like, look at even what I've said in this very podcast. As I said, you have to work hard to get through the things that you want. Everything in this world takes work. The world owes you nothing. And if you allow these people to replace you, if you allow these people to get ahead on you, that's on you. Pessimism kills you, right? What do they say all the time, Chris? The devil's greatest trick was convincing you he didn't exist.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
What does evil need to succeed in this world?
For good men to
do nothing.
For good men to do nothing.
That's right.
That's right.
And that's where we find ourselves, is we have to defeat pessimism, which is very difficult because the world beats on us all. They beat on us all. I mean, look, let me even tell you this personal story, personal anecdote, if you will. I'm out here every day fighting the good fight. I'm out here every day pushing the right news, the correct news. My track record proves it, right? The world's beating me down every day too, people. They just turned my power off this very week. I didn't let it slow me down for a second, okay? Look, I'm just as beat up as the rest of you, but you gotta get in the fight, it's gonna get worse.
That's right, buddy. Listen, I want to get your opinion, and I listened to your scopes, and I've heard both sides of this. I do want you to express your thoughts about this Baltimore bridge collapse, because you didn't see anything but a mechanical error in it, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm chewing on this, and I don't we don't traffic in a lot of theories here, and I'm very careful. I've been very careful not to put anything out there that we can't prove to be truth. I have to tell you, I'm uneasy about it. There's just something that's never made sense to me, but I know that there's a wide variety of opinion, and we encourage people, James, to have opinions, because that's what makes America go round. That's what makes the world go round, is us all having different viewpoints and us coming together and having consensus. But from your perch, did you see anything in that situation that happened last week in Baltimore with that bridge? Because look, it could have been a lot worse. Thank God there wasn't. Look, I say thank God. We're saying this not against the 6 families that lost loved ones. We hated any life got lost, but that 6 could have been 600 very easily had that bridge collapsed in a different time of the day. What was your take on all that last week when you saw it go on?
Yeah, let me try to be as clear as I can. I have a podcast from Friday Night's Pirate Radio that we spent the whole show breaking this down, as you referenced. But my personal opinion on this is not to say that these other things aren't possible. I'm always dedicated to the truth and the facts.
Exactly.
And so when I did this breakdown, there were so many people that were getting so many things wrong that I thought it was important to address those wrong things. But I was very clear on that show, and I'll be clear with your audience. Nothing that I discussed precludes the possibility of any form of sabotage being potentially possible. The problem is that the, quote, evidence for those potentials mostly was incorrect. Like, for example, people don't understand how a ship is steered. People don't understand prop walk. People thought that ship made a hard right turn as if the ship could carve. They don't understand that a ship's pivot is the midships. That boats don't turn like a car turns, where the stern follows the bow. It's a kind of a different animal. The pivot point is amidships. And then when I played it, and we played the video in real time, people got a totally different perspective than if the one that everybody kept showing at 8X, because 8X is not reality. We don't live in 8X. We live in reality.
We do.
So you have to. We had 4 minutes in real world time to try to address that issue, and everything that we saw from the marine tracking software matched up in real time with the video software lends an entirely different perspective. The boat was perpendicular to the bridge. It was not in any form parallel or oblique angled or anything like that. It was perpendicular. In other words, that bridge was running dead at right angles to what the course of that ship was, to go right through the channel. When they dropped power, you saw in real time 4 minutes elapsed. And the cops had 2 minutes to stop the traffic on the bridge, and they did it. And that's what you referenced with saving lives, right? 2 minutes is all the time they had to react. And these things are happening very rapidly. There's no control over this stuff. You lose propulsion, you can't steer the ship. If you lose power and you're on a ship that has fly-by-wire rudder control, you've lost direction of the ship. And all of that evidence for those things happening is apparent in those videos. That doesn't leave out how it happened. That doesn't say all these other things. It simply addresses the misperceptions of people. And so when you watch that video in real time, matched up with the tracking, and understand what's going on, it very really is likely that this was just a tragic accident against a bridge that was built in the 70s, never to withstand the impact of a 100,000-ton vessel. That's 200,000 pounds hitting a piling at 7.5 knots. Pick up a 10-pound sledgehammer right now, lift it 1 inch above your toe, and then let it go. You tell me what that feels like. That's how that would be felt even at those slow speeds.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything there everything lines up with the potential that it was just a tragic accident of timing.
Yeah.
But the possibility still exists that there was some form of nefarious act or sabotage or hacking, whatever you want to say, that caused the issues.
Fair enough.
Because there was a couple of major failures here. And we discuss this stuff. We break it down. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, and I'm free to answer any questions you have on it. I don't know how much time you want to spend on this, but I don't want to make the whole podcast about the bridge.
No, it's fine. I don't either. We got some other things. I'll just say this. Look, I'm with you 1,000,000%, and I think that's a fair assessment. And, buddy, you know how the internet is, and I do too. We've been at this together for a while, and I think we're very aware of how YouTube channels get hits, and the more sensational, more crazy stuff people put out there, the more people flock to these networks. They don't care whether it's the truth or not. They just want something to tickle their senses, and they can, go out there and claim this theory, that theory. And I think that what you just said is as fair as assessment as anybody can make about it. And again, I think I've always felt like from the day it started, I think we just take it a day at a time, because usually these things play out, James, as you said, I'll just use your word, in real time. This will play out, and I do believe that we will get some answers at some point. I don't trust the government giving us those answers, but they will come out. Eventually, the truth will come out about what actually was behind this ship's failure. I'm just grateful there was no more loss of life than there was. I do believe that as long as this administration's in power, Buttigieg ain't going to do a blanking thing to bring any sense to this. There needs to be an outside source to investigate this, and I don't know where that's going to come from. Other thing I want to talk to you about, Soleimani got a roommate this afternoon by the Israelis, basically going after the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, General Mohammad Reza Zadie. Zadie and Soleimani, it sounds like a vaudeville act. He's smoking tonight. And we're not talking about his body. He's dead, thanks to an IDF strike in Syria, of all places, James. James, let me ask you this. Does that help or hurt Israel's cause in this war in Gaza, them going into Damascus and bringing Syria into this if Syria gets involved? Because that, I'm not sure if that's going to strike a match for further conflict. You're a great analysis about this kind of thing. What was your take on their hitting this big, because he was number 2 in Iran's Revolutionary Guard, and they didn't mind going after him, just like Trump didn't mind going after Soleimani.
Yeah, first initial reaction is, hoorah! Like, get that mother, right? Like, listen, you got to understand, Israel is sending the message to the whole world. You can play your politics however you want, but we're going to handle business. They've always been like that. These people are not afraid to take on the entire world. Okay, they're not playing this game. These people are evil and out to destroy the nation of Israel. They know it, and they're not going to worry about everybody else's feelings about it. They have made direct proclamations to Iran. We will bomb you to the Stone Age if we think you get nukes. Period. We don't care about playing these border wars. They have gone and bombed against the wishes of the United States several bases over time in the past in Syria, in the area, taking out people like this. So, you know, they have to understand that this game that they're playing, and by the way, we discussed that many times, and I think I discussed it on the show, that there's a guy over there that in Biden's administration that is trying to broker this 2-state solution peace deal. That's never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
In fact, Bibi Netanyahu came out in a presser right after Biden went out and said that they need to have this ceasefire, and Bibi's like, yeah, we know what you think. Yeah, we're not doing it. We're going to get these guys. So they don't care. They can mount all the international pressure they want. Israel's going to take care of the things that Israel needs to take care of, and that includes going into Rafah. I think you and I discussed this. They do have a public opinion problem that they're going to face if they take a slow amount of time. But things like this buy them more time to deal with Rafah, because you've re-energized your population into understanding we're getting the bad guys. That's what we're doing. And we don't care where they're at, but we're going to protect you at all costs.
I'm with you, buddy. Listen, we got about another 5-10 minutes. I want to ask you a couple of questions, real quick fire questions tonight. And next time we get you on, I'll be better prepared. We'll maybe take some questions out in the chat for you. If you got a question or two, and then make it, please, folks, on topic tonight for James, go ahead and put it in. I'll see if he can answer them. Stump James R., our April Fool's special. Can you stump James R.? You won't. He's brightest mind in the world. I'm going to go back to the political stuff. And one of the comments I do want to read to you, because I do want to ask you about that. Someone said, I heard it's going to cost the insurance companies $4 billion with all the losses into businesses. That was the other thing about the bridge collapse, James. That was the thing that we had a guy on last week that he said that was concerning to him, that it wasn't just the bridge, it's what it's going to do to the economy of the United States. Do you see a ripple effect with the economy, with that bridge being, what happened to that bridge? Is that a fair statement that it will affect commerce coming through in that port there where Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner?
Oh, it's definitely going to have a financial impact on the economy. You're looking at the 9th busiest port in the United States. You're looking at $8 billion in trade a month going through there. Definitely going to take a decade to replace the bridge. So absolutely, it's going to have financial impact. But there's one thing the private sector is very good at doing, and that is adjusting their actions in order to keep their business flowing. And so it's going to maybe create some bottlenecking, but it's not going to have a major effect over the next 30 days. The transportation companies will just make adjustments. But will it affect Baltimore and Maryland? Oh yeah, big time. Because they can't route a lot of their material through that tunnel simply because it's material that has been restricted by the federal government to travel in tunnels, especially post 9/11. It was restricted before that, but they really doubled the efforts after 9/11. So, you can't put fuel, propane, natural gas, and you can't obviously put oversized loads through a tunnel that things don't fit in. So there is definitely going to be some impact regionally, but over enough time, it's really not going to impact the long haul of the country. That's happening because Joe Biden doesn't know how to add 2 + 2. That's why our economy is so screwed. I mean, I know everybody in your audience understands that they're basically spending over $12,000 a year more this year than previous year, just because of the impact of the inflation that Joe Biden so proudly is talking about. We've slowed the rise of inflation. It's down. It's still rising, Joe. We're spending $12,000 more a year, and it's going up. I don't care. Until it's negative inflation, you've done nothing. Okay, get a grip here. People are losing everything right now in this country, and that's where the economy is hit. It's this bridge is going to be a minor blip in consideration of that.
Do you believe this is going to affect? One of the questions is about the military vehicles being sent to Europe. Any impact on that?
Nah.
Okay.
So Biden's trying to get us into a lot of messes. We know that. He's trying to play footsie with the UN. We know that. But this is kind of standard operating stuff that we deal with all the time. They're gonna posture and they're gonna play games because they think the people are gonna tolerate. Oh, Russia bad, Russia bad, Russia bad.
Gotcha.
We got to do more here in Poland. We got to do more in Ukraine. We got to do more in wherever. But at the end of the day, it amounts to nothing. Okay. We see that. We see that from Putin's actions when right after, we all know, I think everybody in your audience knows, that if it wasn't America, it was definitely one of our allies that sent those terrorists into Russia. And Russia believes that to be true. And that's all that matters. They believe it to be true. And they retaliated against Ukraine in a massive way. They just started taking out power structures. And basically, that's Russia saying, you guys think we're bluffing? Try this out. Think we're not bluffing now? So
I got some excellent questions coming out of Facebook tonight. Cora Aguilar, good to see you, dear. She says, how do we fight the culture war, James? Continue boycotting and creating a parallel economy. She's got that in a question mark. How do we fight this culture war, James? I think that's a great question because I think that's the $1 million question that people want to know. What would James our encouraging locker room speech be to the Patriots tonight that are asking that? I'm sure she ain't the only one that's asking that. That's a great question.
The number one thing the audience can do is vote with their wallet every single day for every single thing that you are already going to spend money on it, regardless of what the other intangible cost may be. And that includes going to movies, going to watch certain television shows. Stop giving them eyeballs. Why are you watching the Oscars? Why are you supporting these people that are clearly working against your better interests? I get it that people need relief valves from things, right? It's why, there's people that just couldn't give up professional sports. I gave it up the second they went woke. I haven't watched anything in professional sports, and I was just as big a fan as everybody else about their team this, their team that, their races, whatever it was. You have to give it up. You have to hurt these people in their wallets. It is the only universal language there is. And then you have to do the opposite. You have to support businesses who are trying to do the right thing. We got sponsors. I don't want to step on your show and give you out all my sponsors and all this kind of stuff, but we know there's Beard Vet, who gives Beard Vet coffee. That's a guy that's on America First team. We know that Black Rifle Coffee is not. Stop buying their products. Starbucks is so pro-abortion, they want to abort the CEO, I think. And he's 70 years old.
That's right.
I mean,
that's right, brother.
Stop
That's
buying
right.
Starbucks. Okay? Like, and then again, support the businesses that you know are on your side. At least you can make a tangible effort to say, those people are getting it. Go watch movies, support movies that are supporting your causes. You know, what General Flynn's got a new movie coming out. Support him. Go to flynnmovie.com. Check that out. Veterans for Trump and America First Veterans for Trump, they got a new movie out that they just launched in Dallas. Support that movie. Okay? Stop supporting Clueless in Seattle. Stop supporting these television shows that you see that, why is everything gay? Not everything in America is gay. How come every television show, everybody's gay now? What are we doing? Right? Yeah, because they want to win awards. Well, make them pay for that. You wanted to win awards more than you wanted a successful television show. Bye. I mean, this is it. Just vote and think about everything you're doing and do everything you can to stop giving woke people money and give your money to people that are on your team. That's Public Square, by the way, is a great resource to figure out who's on your team and who's not. Yeah. Public Square, they support Roseanne Barr. She does a show that's supported by them. Don Jr. is behind Public Square. There is a ton of businesses out there that will meet your needs. If you really have a problem with what's going on, vote with your wallet.
That's a great point. A couple of quick questions and we'll let you go, buddy. Dennis Floyd, if Mike Johnson gets vacated, who in your mind would be a pick with a reasonable chance to replace him? I don't think the Republicans have the stomach to do this twice in a year. Do you? I don't see that happening. But if he did get replaced, what would be James R's thought of who would go in there and do as good a job, if not better?
Oh, no. Don't get it twisted. If they get rid of Johnson, Hakeem Jeffries or Nancy Pelosi herself will be the next Speaker of the House.
Yeah, because
you better start to understand the math.
They'll lose the House, exactly.
Yeah.
They'll lose the House. I'm with you. And I think that's a great question. Roger Hooker, he says, why did the ship lose power is his question. Can you take a few minutes real quick to explain why the ship lost power? Or is that an answerable question?
Honestly, it's an unanswerable question, but it's a reason to question things.
Exactly.
That ship had 3 engines on that ship. One is the main propulsion engine, which is basically just a straight diesel standard motor running at around 100 RPM total that provides the propulsion. All the rest of the ship's functions are provided by the other 2 engines, which are considered or called APUs. Those are what provide the diesel electric power to the rest of the ship. When you're in or going in and out of harbor, both of your APUs should be online as a matter of redundancy. They do not shut off one of those APUs until after you're clear of the harbor. So clearly that wasn't the case here. So what happened on that ship that disrupted the power from 2 APUs? Now, here's a clue. There's a clue in the video that seems to suggest that they were only operating 1 APU at the time that had some form of problem, whether that be intentional or unintentional. Something interrupted that power of that 1 APU. The reason I say that is in the video, you can see what looks to be the cold start of an APU. Now, that would not be the case unless they were only running 1 APU leaving the dock. So now the question becomes, was the ship's crew lazy? Did the ship's crew have a problem with that APU? And then we go back to, well, what were the reported incidences? During the week prior to them leaving port, they had several power outages with problems. So there may have been an issue on that ship that caused them to try to leave port with a single APU operational and knew that they were already kind of in a dangerous situation. But they still have to leave the dock and they still have to leave the harbor in order to get somewhere to repair that APU problem. They may have been under, direction to do that. We don't know. But what we do know is in that video, you see a puff of smoke that comes out, black smoke, and When diesels are cold started like that, that is when you will see that. You won't see that unless there's one other option. You've got a turbo problem at the diesel APU, but that doesn't seem consistent with the video because of the drop of power. You would, if it was a turbo issue, you likely would have seen black smoke throughout that time period, not at a cold start kind of scenario. So that's something for everybody to kind of look at and pay attention to. Yeah. It appears it was running on a single APU, and it should not have been.
Well, again, that goes back into what you said a while ago, buddy, and I've been saying it too, and we're saying it together. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and everything you have put forth does not preclude that there was a reason why these things happened. So it's all good, and I think that's, as you said, it's an unanswerable question, and it will, in time, all come out in the wash, as my dad used to say, and so forth. Buddy, I cannot express my thanks to you enough. At Real Person Politics is your X handle. That's where he spaces every day. He's invited me to come on his space. I'm scared to get out there on X. That's a brutal world, man. That's a brutal world. But we got to get the Mac Man and James R back together. I like these Monday night chats with you. We got a record audience tonight, by the way. Best audience I've had all year long. So you have been the man tonight on so many levels. I appreciate you coming on and bringing all these folks to our network. And thank you for being with me tonight. Any final thoughts, my buddy? And I'll let you get out of here. It's been a quick hour. My goodness, it feels like I've just been talking to you 15 minutes.
Hey, it always works like that, Chris. Yes, I agree. We got to get back together. I like the Monday chats. If we're going to make it a regular thing, if you can, I'm in. Whatever we got to do, because I got to tell you, the dynamic duo here of you doing the interviewing and me spitting out thoughts, like my own wife says it's a better show than my own show. So I'm telling you, that should be telling people something right there. I really love it. I love your audience. They're great people. Always get great responses. And I know I cuss too much for a lot of you, and I apologize, but I'm a real American, and this is how we talk on the job sites every day, and I just can't help myself sometimes because I'm so passionate about the subject matter, and I'm so passionate about getting people true information. You mentioned it a while ago, and I was going to respond, but it didn't quite fit. But it really needs to be said. People need to understand where we really are in this world. We are in information apocalypse. None of your audience trusts the government. None of your audience trusts the media. Every single subject that matters to America is going to be parsed and discussed with people like you right here to dissect what the truth is. And that's what I'm dedicated to. And that's why my timeline speaks for itself. It is all, I've never deleted anything. I don't believe in all the games. Even if I'm wrong, it's still up there. I'm just very rarely wrong.
Couldn't agree with you more, buddy. And look, and I appreciate you in this fight we've been in for a long time together. And I know that this year, election years are always more volatile than others. But James, I don't think it's an understatement to say that this year, look, if this election coming up, we say it every 4 years that this is the most important election in our history. I don't think that saying it this year is melodrama, because we have no choice this go around. Because if I'm not sure we're going to make it to January as it stands now with this stuff that's going on in our nation. But we sure as hell ain't going to make 4 years more of this crap. I mean, we just can't. Don't worry about your language. This is not Romper Room, and I'm not Amish, and you're not Amish either. It's okay. We the McFiles, and I appreciate you respecting my audience. But look, we're just buddies. We're brothers, man. We're brothers in this fight. We're in the trench, and I'm just honored to be your friend, and I'm honored to have you on the show. We're going to talk about this down the road and maybe getting together on a regular basis. But listen, God bless you, and I want to thank you again. Give my love to Tina and the baby, and just y'all be safe in your transition from where you're headed over here, and pay your damn light bill, okay?
Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate it. God bless you.
If you need me to
audience.
spare you a few dollars, all you had to do was ask. I'd make sure they wouldn't turn your lights off, dog. So, I mean, come on. Anyway, bless you, friend. Take care of yourself.
God bless.
God bless James. James R., everybody. What a good guy right there. That's my buddy. That's my buddy. That's my buddy. And oh. I am grateful for him tonight. We're grateful for you that are in there, and he is great. And I think we can handle a few vernaculars from James R from time to time. It's okay. As he said, he's passionate. I would rather have somebody like James who's fighting for the country and maybe saying a few things we don't like sometimes and gets under our religious skin than to have somebody that don't say a blanking thing with their mouth and lets country go to hell and stay silent about it. So give me James R any day and twice on Sunday as far as I'm concerned, and I'll get in that trench with him and fight with him. And I'm proud of him. I've known James a long time, and we've never had a bad interview. We've just never had a bad interview together, and I respect, look, I'm the one that created Pirate Radio. To be honest with you, it was my idea at the beginning, and me and James R put it together, and I don't want to get into the reasons why I decided to step aside, but it was a time transition for me, and James has taken the torch and carried it on, and I'm proud of what they do. It's changed. The show from where we started it has changed now even, and he's got some great guests on there. I do encourage you, if you're here and new to our network tonight, we've got a record crowd, folks. We're pushing 500 live viewers tonight on all the networks on X. If you have not subscribed to our McFiles News Network, please do. And make sure to like the program tonight. And if you're on Facebook and haven't liked our page, please do that too. But we could sure use you to subscribe on our news network and think about supporting us and so forth. And we're grateful for James R. and his family tonight. And listen, it's late. It's 11 o'clock. The later we go, James is in Hawaii. Now, when he gets into the Mormons, in the Mormon country, we can maybe do a little bit earlier show. We might just have to put the Mormons on notice. James R. is moving to Utah. Oh, you poor Mormons. That's all I got to say. I think I'm going to visit Utah about a month after James R. has been there about a month and see what's going on over there. That'll be worth the trip. I've always said that if I ever run for president, James R. is going to be my press secretary. If not the press secretary, my Homeland Security or something. And he probably wouldn't last a day with the media, but that's why I'd put him out there and say what you want to say to him. Don't worry about it. And drop that many bombs you want to drop, because that's how I feel about the media tonight. All right, listen, good stuff tonight. I don't have a lot to tell you. A couple of things before we leave tonight. You folks in Ohio, Indiana, I saw Nat Corvin out there tonight. Nat, it's so good to see you. Hope your weekend went well. Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Tennessee, Kentucky. You're in for a very, very, very dangerous weather day tomorrow. I don't say these things lightly. It's going to be a deadly day in the Midwest. It's probably one of the most dangerous weather patterns that we've seen this year. I encourage you to keep up with the weather. If you're in one of those states, this threat's going to go all the way from Ohio all the way down to the Gulf Coast tomorrow. Tornadoes, hail up to 3 inches. Winds as high as maybe 75, 90 miles an hour. And long-tracked EF2 and above tornadoes are likely, not possible, but likely tomorrow, as a vigorous storm system is coming into this warm, humid air. It's already ongoing tonight, but tonight is not the real show. The real show's coming tomorrow. And I normally don't mention the weather on my network, but I mention it tonight. Please be safe if you're in those regions and keep up with the local weather warnings, giving you heads up 24 hours, and that's no April Fool's joke. That is no April Fool's joke tonight, folks. It's being very serious. So please be safe out there if you're in that region of the country. And really the whole Southeast and the Midwest needs to be alert, starting probably in the morning all the way through to tomorrow night into the wee hours of the morning Wednesday. And you Northeast folks, winter's coming. Y'all in for 2 feet of snow. Yippee! So this crazy weather have got going on, enjoy the ride, because it's going to get wild. Listen, we have got Professor Nicholas Giordano coming tomorrow night. You don't want to miss Nick. He's going to be on at 8:30 Eastern. We'll be a little earlier tomorrow night because he's not in Hawaii, and he can come on around 8:30, so 8:30. And then Dory West will be with us Wednesday, our Wednesday night faith chat and Wednesday night faith service at 8. Thursday night, we got a dear friend, Troy Anderson, will be with me. He's the author of Trump Apocalypse. He's going to be dealing with the eclipse. As of right now, not sure what we're going to do Friday. We may be on Friday. And Sunday, our regular show. But then Monday, a week from tonight, April the 8th, we will be coming to you from Nineveh, Ohio in the afternoon. And I know there's a lot of people that are going to be covering the eclipse. So you'll have a lot of options, but you won't have no more funner options than you will here on the McFiles, because we're going to have fun with you Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and we encourage you to join us. And we'll probably go on there around 2:30 and cover it live and let you see it. I know there'll be a lot of people out there doing it too, but we'll be doing it right here on the News Network, Facebook, and X, and hopefully we'll get some good pictures. Hopefully we'll get some good pictures with the camera. I was in the last eclipse that hit, went from the northwest section and came southeast right across Tennessee, came about 50 miles south of me in a little town called Sweetwater. I had a dear pastor friend that allowed me to come stay at his house that afternoon, and Caleb was with me, and first time Caleb had ever seen one, first time I'd ever been through one, and it's wild. It was wild. The earth got dark, literally, and to have the earth go dark in the middle of the afternoon, it just does something to you. And I had my glasses on, but I literally took my camera, which was a Nikon, a Canon at the time, and I stuck my camera lens against the glasses and shot into the air and caught the eclipse, and then we blew it up. And maybe we can find those pictures and post them on Facebook before the week's out. But we're going to look forward to this. It's a very prophetic event. Thursday night, we'll be talking with Troy Anderson about it, and we hope you'll join us. And then next week, we've got some other guests coming that we're sort of working on. I think, I'm not sure who we got next week. Somebody be here. I know Ricky Wilson will be back with us the 15th. And Jennifer Harrison's coming back. Eric Karen will be back with us soon. And James Akers, of course, he's in the bullpen always. And we've got some new people we're working on. If they will agree to come on, we're working on them. And whoever it is, you'll enjoy them, I think. And if they don't come, I'll just get on here and run my mouth for an hour. I know you like that. And that's no April Fool's joke. All right, that's all I got tonight. I got more. I wanted to say this about the weather tomorrow, folks. Very serious day coming. Please be safe out there. Look, we love you guys. And tomorrow night, as we're on the air, we may bring you a weather update or two. And just please keep an eye on this weather. Very dangerous day tomorrow. I'm a weather person, and this has got the conditions are coming together for a massive tornado outbreak tomorrow in the Midwest and the Southeast, especially in the Midwest. You're in the Midwest area, Tennessee Valley. Y'all are in the bullseye more than maybe the southern part of this is, but it's going to be a turbulent day tomorrow. Be safe. Keep your family safe. Know where to go if the warnings are issued. Okay? And as I tell my 22-year-old that don't care about the weather, humor your dad. So humor your host tomorrow and keep an eye on the weather if weather's not your thing. How about that? All right. God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless this great nation of America. I will see you in the morning on the Faith Network back there. And then I'll see you back here tomorrow night on the News Network with Professor Nicholas Giordano. And until then, McDonald out. On a April Fool's Monday, there is no truth to the rumor that me and James are running for president and vice president. At least for now. Oh. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. Be safe. Good night.